We don't just educate you on the future of college football, we're also here to help you win your college football 25 video game dynasties. We launched a segment featuring Blair's freshman top 5. The first installation highlighted some quarterbacks. Last week we did running backs, and this week it is all about the wide receivers. Blair, before we get started, you've been giving us all this wonderful advice. I gotta ask, how is your dynasty going?
It's not going well.
Oh, no.
I lost something called the Boca Raton Bowl a couple weeks ago. I'm playing with Tulane. I like the challenge of building up a program and going to a conference that's really obscure to me, being a West Coast guy. So I'm playing games at places like Coastal Carolina and Memphis and Rice and Temple, and I'm super excited, but my team just isn't really living up to what I expected. I'm recruiting really well. Okay. I might do it for a living, right? Covering recruiting, I kind of understand the pitches, but when it comes to actually making plays, it's just it's not going too hot.
Okay, so you're giving us advice on who to pick up, not necessarily what plays to run or how to execute them. Yeah. I feel the need to say that because you're about to give us advice on dynasties, so you coming out and laying it out for us that you're not doing so well. I gotta give you some props because you have great advice when it comes to personnel, but it's up to you, the player, as to what you do with this personnel. So with that being said, let's go ahead and roll out your top 5 wide receivers, starting with number 5, the number 59 wide receiver in the 2024 class. That is Toledo's Tashi Braceful.
Let's start it off with a little bit of Maction, Emily. 80 awareness, 86 change of direction. You see it there. 88 speed, 89 acceleration. It's an older wide receiver room there with 6 of the top 7 rated wide receivers being either juniors or seniors. So Braceful has a chance to be a fun building block if you decide to go the mid-major route to start a dynasty. This is building up a team. It'd be easy for me to ramble off every 5-star wide receiver from that loaded 2024 class. But if you want to have a little bit of fun, you want to lose the Boca Raton Bowl like I do, you go with Braceful, you go with the Toledo.
Is that fun?
It's just, I think something the challenge is fun. Yeah, it's if I was trying to have fun, I'd put it on what's the least challenging level, right? It's like rookie or
freshman.
Yeah, freshman or whatever it's called. Like you go either All-American, you go to Heisman, and you just try to not put a hole in your wall.
Yeah, please don't do that. You have a great background. We don't want any holes back there, but you might have some more room for helmets if you made a few more dents. But either way, let's continue to move on with this list. With the number 4 wide receiver, the number 111th wide receiver in the 2024 class, that's Cincinnati's Kale Woodburn.
You're going to have to put up points in the Big 12, and you're going to need a pass game. And Woodburn is really good for a true freshman. I might even consider redshirting him, though, considering where he's at in the 2025 season and maybe figuring out, okay, how much development does he need? He's a really good player with a team best 93 speed already. He's got 95 acceleration. So you can think about what he might look like in year 2, or maybe if you do redshirt and you have a Cincinnati team that can kind of help you from an older standpoint in the wide receiver depth chart. Again, it's easy to maybe choose one of the higher level teams, but why not go to Cincinnati? Why not start things up with Kale Woodburn? I think he has a really good chance in year 3, year 4 to be a Heisman contender.
I like it. We got the roster management too, suggestions for who to redshirt, how to build your whole wide receiver room. That's why you tune into this show.
Again, I might not win games, but man, roster management and player retention, I'm your guy.
On paper, Team Blair is fantastic. During the season, though, we'll see. Let's continue and move on with the number 3 wide receiver on your list, the number 44 wide receiver in the class. That's Vanderbilt's Joseph McVay.
4 of the top 6 receivers on the Vandy depth chart are sophomores, so it might be tough for McVay to carve out a role but I absolutely think he can. He's got 90 speed, 93 acceleration. Those are two traits that you look at with receivers because playing the offensive game has really changed in this rendition, right? It's been over a decade since college football was back, and I think now that you look at it, it's maybe a little bit different, and you have to have the speed, you have to have the agility to get around defenders and eat up some space. I think McVay does that for you, and again, you could go easily with one of the top tier freshman receivers in the SEC, but go have some fun, go play with the Commodores, and choose McVay to build him up.
It's no fun. I will say, since we're in Nashville and we're right down the road from Vanderbilt, they're also debuting a whole new stadium rebuild that looks, I have got to say it, quite gorgeous. So you might see that in a future update if you are playing with Vanderbilt too. You can see the new stadium. It's already in the game is what I'm hearing. See, I haven't played with Vanderbilt, so I wouldn't know that. But you could kind of tell from those highlights, though, that it looked like quite a bit of an upgrade there. So those are the more obscure wide receivers, I'll call them. But as we move on through number 2 on your wide receiver list, we're getting to some household names. Number 5 wide receiver in the 2024 class, that is Texas Tech's Micah Hudson.
One of the best freshmen in this game. He's an 80 overall, 92 speed, 95 agility, 94 acceleration. You were already obviously able to see some of that on the game there. He's one of the best players on the Texas Tech roster. And when you think about building up a dynasty in the Big 12, sans Oklahoma, sans Texas, we heard Coach McGuire talk about being able to build from within and recruit the state of Texas. What better way to do that in dynasty mode than by essentially showing off your star pupil, your star 5-star wide receiver that you just landed in the 2024 cycle, put him on the field, make a bunch of throws, convince other players from the state of Texas to join your program by providing that example and saying, hey, come here, be the next Micah Hudson or play next to him. I think he's obviously special in not only in real life, but in the video game. He'd be a lot of fun to play with as well.
I like it. I enjoyed over the last year as he was leading up to signing day, showing his highlights. So I'm certain that it would be fun to play as him in the video game. Your number 1 wide receiver to help rebuild your dynasty is the number 9 wide receiver in the class, Tennessee's Mike Matthews.
I cheated on this one a little bit because Mike Matthews was a Heisman Trophy finalist in one of my dynasty seasons, and I'm like, okay, look, like I wasn't expecting that, but remembering what he was able to do at the Polynesian Bowl during that whole week in Hawaii, kind of it reminded me of how special of a player he is. I went in and dove into his stats. 90 juke move. He's one of the best freshmen that I could find in that category. He's got 82 catching. He's really, really solid, not only in short routes, in medium routes, in deep routes. He can make all the plays, all the catches, and it gives us, Emily, maybe another excuse to go play with Nico Iamaleava, at least for 2 more seasons before he departs for the NFL. So Mike Matthews, I think, is the player that you possibly can have the most fun with and try to build up a dynasty. It could have been easy for me to say Jeremiah Smith, right? The number 1 player in that class, the number 1 receiver, 5-star, obviously just like Mike Matthews is. But, is it fun to go play with Ohio State and build up a dynasty that's already built?
No, it's way more fun to do some of the more obscure teams. I feel like that is the trend, though, with a lot of people. Before the video game even came out, we were all talking about which teams we would play in dynasty mode, and they were all the slightly obscure ones, maybe ones with nice stadiums, or as you said, too, if you live on the West Coast, you wanted to choose more of an East Coast team so you could see some new environments. So I do think that is the strategy, but you had me sold with Mike.
You start off low and then you get a different job, right? Maybe you recruit really well and you start winning some football games. I can't do the latter part of that, but you start to build up, you go to a bigger program, and then maybe you feel like, okay, I earned this promotion to the Alabama Crimson Tide, right? Like you feel like you at least played the game a little bit more.
Yeah, it hasn't happened for you yet, but you hear it happening.
It hasn't.
With other people. Also, I just wanted to say I was sold on Mike Matthews when you said 90 juke. I mean, that's just fun to play with. I don't care about the rest of the offense, but yeah, I'm going to have some fun with that. Let's recap Blair's top 5 wide receivers to help you build your college football 25 video game dynasty. You got some deep cuts in there with Cincy's Kale Woodburn, Toledo's Tashi Braceful, Joseph McVay for Vandy, also a pair of top 10 prospects, Micah Hudson out of Texas Tech, and Tennessee's Mike Matthews.